Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and happy Friday the 13th. As promised, for every Friday the 13th on the calendar, I'm going to review the next Friday the 13th movie. Starting from the original and going all the way to the end. It's going to be a while, especially considering I'm only on number 2. Before I go into the review, I wanted to give a shout out to the Scream Factory box set. This thing includes every single Friday movie, even the ones made by New Line, and as far as I know, this is the only box set that does that. Before, I had this box set, and this includes all the Paramount movies, so only up to Jason Takes Manhattan, which means I had to keep all of these ones separately. So the Scream Factory box set has them all together, which is really convenient. The box set's also loaded with special features, deleted scenes, interviews, there's a documentary. It even has movie trailers from around the world, which I'm surprised I liked as much as I did. But that Japanese trailer? Come on. The box set is a little pricey, but if you're a fan of the franchise, this is the way to go.
Shut up and take my money!
But I'm not here to review the Scream Factory box set. I'm here to review Friday the 13th, Part 2. I think Friday the 13th Part 2 is a real hidden gem in the franchise. Now, that's not to say it's the best movie of the franchise, but it definitely doesn't get the attention it deserves. The original gets a lot of attention because, obviously, it's the first one, and whether you've seen it or not, you already know that Jason isn't even the killer in the first one.
Then you should know Jason's mother, Mrs. Voorhees, was the original killer. Jason didn't show up until the sequel.
Number 3 also gets a lot of attention. After all, it is the one where Jason finally gets his iconic hockey mask. Well, stuck in between is Friday the 13th Part 2, which honestly is a bit of a mess. It's got Jason, but it doesn't have his hockey mask yet. So it ends up being in a strange type of limbo where it just ends up getting overlooked, which is too bad because this is a good movie. Now, I'm not going to recap the movie here. I'm assuming if you clicked on this video, you've probably already seen the movie. So I'm not going to waste your time. I'm just going to go right into what I did and didn't like. Up first, I'm going to talk about my problems with the movie. I didn't like that they killed off Crazy Ralph.
I told the others. They didn't believe me. You're all doomed.
I feel like he could have been a really good reoccurring character. You know, he could have played a much bigger role in later movies, and he could have had a lot bigger of a backstory. Maybe he's the one who found Jason after he drowned. He tried to help him, but realized that he was evil, then dedicated his life to trying to keep people away from the campgrounds. Or hell, maybe he could have been Jason's father or grandfather. I don't know, I'm just making things up. The point is, there was a lot more that could have been done with his character, and I think all of his potential was wasted when they killed him off. Something else that bothers me about this movie is its underwhelming kill count, especially considering that so many characters were introduced in the beginning, but instead of killing them, over half of them just take off and they hang out at a bar for the rest of the movie.
Anybody wants a last night on the town, now's your chance. Yeah. Okay, who else?
And you know what? Almost every time I watch this, I fall for it. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to see that annoying redhead get what's coming to him. Then about halfway through the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, he just hangs out at the bar with everyone else. It's just so weird to see a horror slasher introduce so many characters and then not use over half of them. Finally, there's something about Jenny's education that always bothered me. I know it sounds weird, but hear me out. Jenny comes up with a fascinating psychological profile for Jason.
He must have seen his mother get killed. And he must be out there right now crying for return, for resurrection.
And in order to explain how she was able to come up with this, the movie just has her be a child psychology student.
Use a little of that child psychology you're majoring in.
Why not just go the extra step and have her be an actual child psychologist? It would have made her analysis seem a lot more plausible. Because the way it's done here just makes it seem like the ramblings of a drunk college student.
What do you think?
I think you're drunk. I'll drink to that.
All of these complaints are just nitpicks. They bother me, but they're not terrible. Where this movie really shines is what I like most about it. I love the lore that they built around Jason. During that campfire scene, we learn from Paul that Jason survived his drowning, and now he lurks in the woods as some deformed creature, killing anyone that gets too close to Camp Crystal Lake, which is now referred to as Camp Blood. The whole atmosphere of this scene is really good. Sitting around the campfire at night, telling what seems like ghost stories, it really makes Jason feel like an urban legend.
The girl who survived that night at Camp Blood, that Friday the 13th, she claims she saw.
And a lot of what was brought up in this scene, it stuck around in future movies.
Legend has it that Jason came back to get even.
You mean the Jason of Camp Blood?
Yes. No.
I really like Sackhead Jason in this movie. Now with that said, I want to make it clear, I'm glad that Jason eventually got his iconic hockey mask. It's a much more polished look for the franchise. And I think if Friday the 13th had stayed the course with the potato sack, the franchise wouldn't have been as popular as it is today. But for a one-off, I think Sackhead Jason is great, especially considering the lore that they built up in this movie. I think the sack really adds to the look of him being some deformed creature lurking in the woods. Now I know I already brought up the underwhelming kill count, but the kills that we do get are really good. 2 in particular stick out as being some of the better kills of the franchise, and you're probably already thinking about the first one. Every time I watch this movie, I root for this guy to be the one who survives, but instead, he gets what many consider to be the most brutal kill in the franchise.
Hey!
There's also another kill in this movie that is fantastic, and it always gets me. When Scott is hanging upside down, Jason slits his throat, and you can actually see the blade against his skin. It's such a little thing, but it always makes me squirm. And in the extended scene, the camera doesn't cut away for another few seconds, so it's even worse. And as far as what I like most about this movie, Friday the 13th Part 2, I think, is the scariest movie in the franchise. And when I say I think it's the scariest, I don't mean that it has the best jump scares or the most gruesome kills. With horror movies in general, jump scares and kills, they never really scared me. Jump scares, they make me jump. They startle me, but once it's over, and I don't really feel anything afterwards. And when it comes to gruesome kills, I always find myself admiring the makeup effects more than anything. Especially with the first few Friday movies where all the kills had some real top-notch makeup effects. So when it comes to kills, they don't scare me either. But what makes Friday the 13th Part 2 different and so scary to me are a couple of things. For starters, the overall atmosphere is a lot more haunting than in any other of the Friday movies. I've already talked about the campfire scene. I just love the setting, sitting around the campfire at night in the dark woods, talking about the curse of Camp Blood. It does a great job of setting the mood. And this is the type of scene that should be in every Friday movie, but we only see it here. Also, the atmosphere in and around Jason's shack has always been really haunting to me. Even in the daytime, when the cop discovers the place, I think it's scary. So when Jenny stumbles upon it in the middle of the night with Jason chasing her, it's just that much scarier. And I really wish that later movies came back to the idea of exploring where Jason actually lives because it's so creepy. Now, the remake, to its credit, it came back and showed us how Jason lived in the woods. But quite frankly, I like how they did it in number 2 a lot better. In addition to the atmosphere, there are a few scenes that really stand out to me as something that's just so scary. The first one is when Jason is dragging that dead body down the stairs. It always gets to me. Another scene that gets to me is when Jenny and Paul are searching around the cabin looking for where everyone went. Jenny thinks she sees someone else in the room with them.
Paul, there's someone in this room.
Paul, there's someone in this room!
The more traditional reveal here would be a jump scare. Just have Jason burst through a door or break through a window. But having Jenny notice him first, it builds the suspense in a very different way, and it's much more effective at being scary rather than just shocking or jumpy. Another shot that's very similar to this is when Jenny stumbles upon that shelter that ends up being Jason's shack. The camera casually pans across the room revealing Jason running at full speed after her from the outside. There's no loud music or zoom in to reveal that he's running at her, so it's just up to you to see him on your own. And a lot of the times you may not notice him until he's already there. Scenes like these are so much scarier to me, and they also help me relate to the victim more. Usually when a person's running away from a bad guy and they end up locking themselves like in the closet rather than running away, it's just so annoying. But in this case, you can see how if you're not expecting it, or if you're a little confused about what's happening, you also might make some stupid decisions. Well, that about does it for my thoughts on Friday the 13th Part 2. Altogether, I think it's a very good installment in the franchise. I even think it's a giant step up from the original in terms of pacing and overall atmosphere. So if this is a movie that you typically skip over because there's no hockey mask, I think you should give it another shot. It might be better than you remember.
Hey everyone, free samples of me.
Thanks for watching, everyone. My name's Kenny, and until next time, let's not just watch movies, let's talk about them too. When is the next Friday the 13th? Next Friday the 13th is May 2022. That's a long time to wait to get to number 3.